Springfield, Illinois, the capital of the state. Also, where President Lincoln lived and is buried. Known for some local foods too, but more on that later. It's the first destination on our ambitious goal of visiting all 50 states. This is 2-day travel. Let's get into it.
Yeah. All right, so this is day trip number 1 with us of a very, very ambitious project. You want to talk about?
So, our idea is we are going to travel all 50 states, and we're going to do it kind of on a budget and only during a weekend.
More or less.
Yeah, more or less. So we're here today, and then we'll be here tomorrow, and then that's it for this one, and that's kind of how it'll be. But once we get to, like, you know, the states where we have to, like, fly out to get there instead of drive there, it'll probably be a couple more days.
We'll figure it out.
You know, yeah. But that's kind of the concept. So we're starting with Illinois, and we're in Springfield.
Yeah, so there's a few rules here, and the rules pretty much are, if you've been to a state already, because we've been to a few states, not close to all 50, but if you've been to a state before, you have to go to a city that you've at least never been to for us. So, as Tay was mentioning, the series is called 2-Day Travel. The idea being that we're both working full-time, and, like, you know, that keeps us very busy. But how do we go ahead and sort of make the best of what we got? Somehow achieve this very ambitious bucket list of a goal. One day you're not going to be 20 years old anymore, or mid-20s, whatever, and it's going to be a little bit harder to try to visit all 50 states. And so now we're doing it. And yeah, Springfield step number 1, because obviously we're from Illinois and we're from Chicago, so this is the first place we will be, and we'll figure out what's next after that. But it's going to be a grand old time. We're currently waiting for a restaurant which has a 10-15 minute wait. Springfield's cool.
Yeah, it's interesting.
We're here at the Lincoln statue. I mean, not statue. We're here at the Lincoln Monument, where our burial, where our 16th president lies. You wanna touch it? Should we do it at the same time, or?
Yeah, let's do it at the same time.
Okay. Do I gotta do it with my thumb, or?
Don't do it, don't touch it.
Okay. No, or.
Look it up.
Yeah, please. Parked right behind a Lincoln. This is the cell phone audio tour.
For Sarah Cook's house, to be more exact. It's this one.
Welcome to History Link, your audio link to information about the history of Illinois, brought to you by the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library Foundation through the Lincoln's 1860s Neighborhood Audio Tour Stop 50, the Cook House. Abraham Lincoln's good friend John Roll constructed this home, which in 1860 was rented to a 52-year-old widow named Sarah Cook. Sarah's husband, Eli, a hat manufacturer and former mayor of Springfield, had died 8 years earlier. Shortly.
Oh, shit.
That's kind of cool.
That's super cool.
You know, they always give you those devices, and it's like, I don't know who had this device before me.
Right.
A quick analysis of a phone call thing. Not everybody has cell phones, so that's a con. But a pro, you don't have to have a random device that you don't know where it's been, or if it's like half clean or whatever. That's sometimes harder to hear. Like when we went on that tour and I could barely hear it, and there was no way to raise the volume any higher than what I had already. So like, comprehensive review. of using a cell phone. So go ahead and do that.
Oh my god.
Now, has anyone here ever moved to a new city, new state, new town? All right, so welcome into the Lincoln home. First room we're in here today is the parlor room. In 1860, Mr. Lincoln was actually offered the presidential nomination in this room. However, he lived here for 17 years, had a lot more memories than that. You have to remember, no running water here, no electricity when the Lincolns were here. The Wi-Fi was terrible. But underneath the beds, you're going to notice we do have chamber pots. Now keep in mind, he's a politician, a lawyer, and a very skinny husband.
Somebody, somebody.
Tay is currently in the shower. It's just us, and I wanted to talk about this whole idea, this whole project. Pretty much this whole idea stemmed from a very, very long goal and ambition of both Tay and I to pretty much visit all 50 states within our lifetime, just, you know, in any given moment. It was on our bucket list, and it's something that we sort of mentioned when we first started dating, and we will officially be 3 years tomorrow together. So happy anniversary, baby. But the sort of idea and the goal was, how do we turn that bucket list idea into like a reality? Like, how do we actually make that happen? And one of the ideas that sort of just came about was creating a series called the 2-Day Travel Series. It's not always going to be 2 days, but more or less the idea is the 2-Day Travel Series is dedicated to finding the most effective and efficient way to make this bucket list like dream a reality. We're both working, you know, we don't have the means to just take off a month and like travel. Like, that's just not a reality for either of us. And, you know, we get our weekends. How could we be as creative as possible with that? If we've been to a city in that state already, like obviously Chicago, we're born and raised, so we can't be in Chicago, we got to go somewhere else. So we went to Springfield. Then we're gonna go, you know, just somewhere else. Like, who knows? The possibilities are endless. And as far as like just a sort of day one reflection, being in Springfield right now, I think some of the very important things is that I was sort of like telling and sharing with friends of mine and colleagues and whatnot that Springfield was gonna be one of our trips. And there were sort of like mixed responses. Some people were like, oh, what are you guys gonna do there? And it was like sort of this skepticism of like, Springfield, like what's in Springfield? There were other responses where like, oh, Springfield, yeah, I've been there before. I've been to, you know, this museum. I've been, you know, I hiked here. So we got those mixed responses, and I think that something we sort of like talked about was there's the flashy places like New York, right? Like New York City, everyone wants to travel to New York City more or less, but New York City's not everywhere, right? So the sort of conversation that Tay and I were having was, you gotta love the experience you're having where you're at. You gotta love that experience for that experience. We're not coming to Springfield, Illinois and expecting New York City. We're coming to Springfield, Illinois, and we have a list of 20 or plus things to do in Springfield, Illinois, and we're expecting Springfield, Illinois. It's been a very fun day, a very productive day. Quite a few more things to do tomorrow to conclude the trip before we head out back to Chicago. But every place has something to offer. Every place has something worth looking, worth enjoying. I know you're probably watching this video if you're not from Chicago and you're like, Chicago. But we're born and raised there. This is about stepping out from Chicago and just going out and visiting and seeing everything that we can in all 50 states. That's reflection point number one.
A horseshoe, a Springfield original. Cheers. Hey, you gotta eat it at the same time.
You gotta dip it in this.
What's that?
Sour cream. You didn't get any.
I don't really like sour cream.
Well, then don't get it.
Hot. How you feeling? Okay. Horseshoe is a thing in Springfield
Just Springfield.
that our Lyft driver told us about.
And people we met at the other bar.
And people that we met. Where?
The other bar.
What other bar?
That bar.
It's the same one.
It's across the street. It's different.
Well, anyways, it's a thing. I'm getting it right now. Tastes hesitant, but I'm getting it.
It looks good. Or sounds good. But I don't know. I don't know.
I'm going for it. Diving into the culture. It's a lot to eat.
How's your meal? 9 out of 10?
It's pretty good. I just have heartburn, so I can't finish it.
10 out of 10? Oh wow.
It's pretty good.
Finished half. The second half, I can't.
It was good though. 8.5 out of 10. 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. So it's day 2, last day in Springfield. Tay and I are beginning the morning with a hike at
Adams Wildlife Sanctuary.
Our original plan was to get up really early and film the sunrise, but that didn't happen because Tay likes her sleep.
Do not blame this.
Instead, we went ahead and we got breakfast right away. The most finest cuisine in all of Springfield. McDonald's. The rest of our day consisted of our final hike, exploring the capital, unsuccessfully looking for a lunch spot. A lot of places are closed on Sunday, go figure, and then hitting the road to head back to sweet home, Chicago. We had a great time in Springfield, Illinois. Here's to our first date and the rest of our journey to come. Until next time, I'm Josue, traveling with Tay. This is Today Travel.